Begin at the end. A man standing at the mouth of a cave in the Kansas limestone bluffs, lamplight spilling into a chamber that glittered with exposed quartz and native gold, veins of it, thick as a man's thumb, running through white rock like frozen lightning. Harlan Briggs stood at the threshold of a fortune that would have bought every acre between the Kansas and Platte rivers. And he stood there the way a man stands at a cliff edge, knowing that the step forward was possible, knowing that the step forward was irreversible, knowing that the only honest choice was the one that cost him everything material and preserved everything that mattered. He turned around. He walked away from the gold. He sealed the cave with brush and rock. He told no one. He lived the rest of his life in the same cabin on the same bluff, eating the same salt pork and cornbread. And he carried the secret of the cave the way a man carries a wound that healed wrong. Always there, always aching, a permanent reminder of the choice that defined him. If the story of a frontiersman who walked away from a cave full of gold to protect a Delaware elder's trust fascinates you, subscribe now. What this vision reveals about the true cost of knowledge will change everything. Jump back 6 weeks earlier, October 1843. Harlan's cabin on the Kansas River bluffs, a hand-built structure of cottonwood logs, tight chinked, smoke darkened, furnished with a bunk, a table, 2 chairs, one for him, one for optimism, and a cast iron stove that was the most valuable object he owned. He was 47. Former fur trapper, the beaver trade had collapsed a decade ago, leaving men like Harlan stranded on a frontier that no longer needed their particular skills. He'd adapted by not adapting. Same cabin, same routine, same stubborn refusal to move east toward civilization, or west toward the next promise. He hunted, he fished, he brewed tea from wild herbs and drank it on his porch, while the Kansas River went about its business.
I had everything I needed and nothing I wanted, which are the conditions for contentment if you're the kind of man who measures wealth in silence and square footage of sky.
The Delaware elder appeared at dusk, walking the bluff trail from the east, moving slowly, using a cottonwood staff, his breath labored. He was old. Harlan estimated 70, possibly older, the kind of age where the body becomes an argument between endurance and gravity. He reached Harlan's porch, sat on the step without being invited, and did not speak for approximately 5 minutes. Then he collapsed. Not dramatically, a slow folding, the way dough falls when the yeast fails. Exhaustion, dehydration, the cumulative toll of a long walk by a man who should not have been walking at all. Turtle walked slowly recovered over 3 days. Slowly, appropriately. He drank Harlan's tea, ate salt pork he clearly found distasteful, and began to talk. Not about his collapse, not about his journey, about tea. The Delaware, the Lenape, had been the first Eastern nation to establish sustained contact with European settlers. They had traded, negotiated, been pushed west, pushed again, pushed a third time, and arrived in Kansas carrying the accumulated botanical knowledge of 300 years of eastern woodland existence. Turtle walks slowly, was a keeper of plant knowledge. He knew the medicinal, ceremonial, and practical uses of approximately 400 plants, knowledge transmitted orally across generations.
Your tea is adequate. Mint cools the belly. Bergamot calms the pulse. But you brew the way a child cooks, with ingredients, not with intent. The Lenape brew with purpose. Each plant is chosen for what it does to the spirit, not just the body. You are a man who knows herbs. I am a man who knows what herbs know.
The mentorship began. Unchosen, unplanned. The organic development of 2 men sharing a cabin in autumn. Turtle walked slowly taught Harlan plant combinations. Which roots enhanced which leaves? Which bark was medicinal in spring and toxic in fall? Which mushrooms opened the mind's deeper rooms? Rooms Harlan hadn't known existed. Harlan, in turn, provided what the elder needed: shelter, food, and the particular quality of attention that comes from a man who has spent 20 years alone and understands the value of listening. Songbird appeared on the 5th day. Turtle Walk Slowly's granddaughter, 22, sharp-eyed, suspicious. She had tracked her grandfather to Harlan's cabin and brought supplies and distrust in equal measure.
My grandfather chooses his students poorly. A trapper, a white man in Lenape country, living on stolen ground. He teaches you plant knowledge that should stay with our people.
Knowledge that stays only with our people dies when our people are reduced to nothing. Knowledge that is shared survives. I choose the man, not the skin.
On the 14th day, Turtle Walk Slowly told Harlan about the vision tea. The preparation took 3 days. Turtle Walk Slowly gathered plants from the river bottoms and the bluff tops. Roots, bark, leaves, fungi, each one selected with the deliberate care of a chemist preparing a formula. He brewed the tea in Harlan's cast iron pot, adding ingredients in a sequence that Harlan memorized but was instructed never to repeat. They drank at sunset. Harlan on one side of the table, Turtle Walk Slowly on the other. Songbird outside, refusing to watch. Her silence a protest she would maintain for 3 days. The vision came in stages. First, clarity. The cabin's details sharpening to impossible resolution. Every grain in the wood, every crack in the chinking, every mote of dust in the lamplight becoming individually visible. Second, expansion. The walls dissolving, the bluff opening outward, the Kansas River Valley spreading beneath Harlan's perception like a map unrolling. Third, time. The valley's history peeling backward, layer by layer, displaying 300 years of habitation, migration, and change. He saw the cave. Not a physical cave visible from the trail. A cave hidden behind a rockfall in the limestone bluff approximately 2 miles southeast of his cabin. The vision showed him the entrance, behind a lightning-struck oak, the passage, narrow, descending, and the chamber, 30 feet across, 10 feet high, the walls striped with quartz and native gold.
The gold was real. Not dream gold, not metaphor gold. Real gold. Veins in white quartz. The geological signature of a legitimate deposit. The vision showed me its location with the specificity of a surveyor's map. I could walk there tomorrow.
Then the vision showed him the cost. The cave was not just a geological feature. It was a Delaware sacred site. A vision chamber where Lenape elders had sought prophetic clarity for generations. The gold was incidental to the Lenape. The space was sacred. Taking the gold would require publicizing the cave. Publicizing the cave would bring miners. Miners would destroy the sacred site. The Delaware would lose their last vision chamber, the last place in Kansas where the long eye could be opened. Subscribe. When a frontiersman discovers that the gold a Delaware vision reveals is not a reward, but a test, the choice between wealth and wisdom will redefine everything you think about what knowledge truly costs. The vision was explicit. 2 paths. Take the gold, destroy the cave. Leave the gold, preserve the cave. The gold would make Harlan wealthy beyond imagination. The cave's destruction would end a tradition older than any nation on the continent. The mentor had shown the student both the treasure and the price. The price was the mentor's world.
You saw, now you know. The knowledge was given freely. The choice is yours. I did not show you the gold to tempt you. I showed you the cave. The gold is an accident of geology. The cave is a cathedral of the spirit. You must decide which matters more. This is the final lesson.
Harlan found the cave 2 days later. Everything the vision showed was accurate. The lightning-struck oak, the narrow passage, the chamber, the gold was real. He struck a lucifer match and watched the light play across veins of native gold in white quartz. Not surface dust, but deep veins. The kind that miners would kill for. The kind that would bring 1,000 men to this bluff within a month of discovery. He sat in the chamber. The lamplight made the gold pulse, a warm amber glow that seemed to radiate from inside the rock rather than reflect from its surface. The space was extraordinary, acoustically perfect, the air still, the temperature constant. A place carved by water over millennia and used by humans for purposes that transcended the material. He understood. The vision had not shown him the gold as a reward. It had shown him the gold as a test. The mentor's final lesson was not the location of a treasure. It was the revelation of a choice. What kind of man are you when you stand in front of everything you've ever wanted, and the price is everything someone else holds sacred?
I sat in that cave for 2 hours. I held a piece of gold quartz in my hand, a chunk I'd broken from the wall, maybe 3 ounces of native gold, worth $20 at Westport Landing, worth $500 if the vein was as deep as it looked. I held $20,000 in one hand and an old man's trust in the other.
The cost was too high. Not the cost of leaving the gold. That was simply money. And money, Harlan had learned, was the thing you needed until you had enough. And then it was the thing that needed you. The cost was the knowledge. Harlan would carry the location of the gold cave for the rest of his life. Every lean winter, every empty pantry, every morning he counted his last coins at the Westport store, knowing that 2 miles away, buried in limestone, lay a fortune he had chosen not to touch. He replaced the quartz fragment. He backed out through the passage. He covered the entrance with brush and rock, making it invisible to anyone who didn't know exactly where to look. He walked back to his cabin. Turtle Walk Slowly was sitting on the porch, drinking mint tea, watching the Kansas River. Songbird stood behind him. The elder looked at Harlan's hands, empty, dust-free, carrying no quartz, no gold, no trace of the cave.
You left it.
I left it.
Good. The vision showed you what you could take. You showed me what you won't. The cave will be there when I am gone. The vision will be there when you are gone. The gold was never the point. The cave is a place where the spirit sees clearly. If you had taken the gold, you would have destroyed the place where clarity lives. You chose clarity over wealth. That is the Lenape way. That is also, I think, your way.
Songbird looked at Harlan with an expression that, for the first time, did not contain suspicion. It contained respect. Grudging, tentative, but real. The white man had passed the test. The cave was safe. Subscribe. There's more Rancher's Honor stories where knowledge tested the knower. More frontier tales where the richest man was the one who walked away. And more Chronicles where the Wild West's greatest treasures were the ones that stayed hidden. Frontiersman brewed tea for Delaware elder. Grand vision, unveiled lost gold. The gold stays lost. The cave stays sacred. Knowledge given freely has the heaviest strings of all, the obligation to honor the giver. Harlan's wisdom was silence. Silence, in the end, was enough.